All right, welcome back. This is still the Polity reaching you live from Abuja. I've been joined in the studio now by Prince Ojoka Esquire. He's here to do justice to the state of the nation and issues bordering Nigerians, the average Nigerian as we speak today. Welcome to the program. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon for having me, Mr. Amadin.
It's good to have you. All right. So before we go into other things, let's start with something that concerns a lot of Nigerians who are about, I'm trying to calculate, it's 10 days away to Christmas, or is it 9 days or so?
7 days.
7 days,
yeah.
7 days. So we know that there's usually a price hike around this time, but I'll just read the official figures from the MBS. First of all, I'll quote this by saying Nigeria's inflation rate on track for its worst level in over 27 years. The National Bureau of Statistics released Nigeria's monthly consumer price index report for Nigeria last week Friday, revealing a headline inflation rate of 28.2% for November 2023. I'd like to get your thoughts on what we keep seeing with these increases every day, day by day, how the average Nigerian is trying to cope, but more keeps getting added on. At this point in time, what reaction should we be expecting from the people and the government?
It reminds me of the song we normally sing while we were growing up. On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me. Now, today is the 7 days remaining before it is Christmas. It's unfortunate that because of our economy, our true love cannot send to us anything. The song goes this way: on the first days of Christmas, my true love sent to me. All of that now, who is going to send to you when everybody barely fits, when everybody is managing? Now, that's by the way. Nigeria have been surviving, and because of our surviving spirit, we have conquered so many of things like this. It's quite unfortunate that each time it is festive period like this, prices of things rise. The hike of things becomes something unbearable for the common man, who of course does not receive the various palliative that is due to them. Now, I saw in the news this morning that the government is proposing 50% of bonus salary for this month for workers, maybe Lagos State or thereabouts. And then we've heard some state governors say they are paying 13 months salary. Well, that's a good one, and it's a welcome development if that is actually true. But the point remains, how many people are working for the government that benefit with such amount? Even with such amount, what are you going to buy with such an amount? The price of chicken goes as far as 10,000 naira for a good mature chicken for a family. Unless you're buying bread in the name of you're buying chicken. There are those ones that, you know, they are like a month old, and then they give them all the feet, and you see them looking like, and once you put them inside water, it shrink. No. This is Christmas, for goodness sake. People should enjoy. If it's possible, let the government make provisions for all citizens. It doesn't happen in another country? No, it does. It happens. There are various palliative in different offices. You want to tell me that if you go to Central Bank today, their staffs are not going to receive huge amount of package for Christmas? They are going to do that. Well, so many agencies today are actually taking care of their staffs. They have made provisions, various provisions for some of things like this. But what about the common man? The common man is suffering. The common man does not have who is going to give to him. So the price of things increase, and he's like, God, when? And he sees other people eating and celebrating the Christmas. And he's left with his own saliva and with his own blood to survive on. This is time for us to show love. This is time for us to share whatever has been given to us. It's a give, and it shall be given unto you. At this time, I want to beg Nigerians, if you're there right now watching this program, we are begging you, the little you have, share with your neighbors. It is love your neighbor as you love yourself. In your church, share. In your neighborhood, share. In your various communities, share. It doesn't have to be much, but the little you have, share with one another. That's the spirit of this Christmas. It is time to give. Let's learn how to give, even if it's a bucket of chin-chin, even if it is just a mineral. It goes a long way. So we know that things have increased. If it's possible, let the government, of course the government in Nigeria cannot do that. How many markets are you going to tell people, okay, reduce your price? What has the government even done for the people to even reduce their price? The border is still closed right now. Rice is still a contraband goods in Nigeria as we speak. So the few persons who, of course, managed to manipulate this price into the country after paying exorbitant tax and their shop rent, you are saying they should reduce their price. First, they won't consider the transportation they spend to bring these goods. They won't make profit. They won't pay shop rent. Do you know the amount of taxation that is going on in some of these shops? Do you know how many people who try to do business in this country and have difficulties in doing business in this country? Because the government policies are actually not favoring the people. The government should come up with modalities and policies that can favor the people so that they can do business in Nigeria. People are running from Nigeria to do business outside in other countries that is not even bigger or as better than Nigerians. The policies should be, human friendly and business friendly. So that would be my take on this. Let the government see what they can do.
What about Nigerians? You made a point there that Nigerians are known for surviving. We always find a way to pull through. Some people will say, even if fuel becomes 1,000 naira, I will survive. God will, do it for me. People, they are religious, they have faith, they have hope, and they are resilient. Is this a net positive or a net negative?
Now, this is the truth about human surviving. From the days in the Bible, for example, I'm not bringing religion, excuse me. All I'm trying to say is that from that Garden of Eden, for example, when Adam was chased out from the garden, he learned to survive with his wife. That is how we are today. We, of course, have tried to survive on our own and give sacrifices, just like that of Cain and Abel, who after all their sacrifice, give their sacrifice to their God. We sacrifice and still pay our tithe to the government. Of course, we expect that the government should use that money we are using to pay taxation and develop the country and make things easy for his citizens. We are not saying these are things should be done for outsider. It is for the betterment of Nigeria. So in the course of we trying to survive as Nigerians, we just believe that we can do all of this on our own because the government, of course, have decided not to help us. So we are helpless. Of course, it is rightly said by a common man that heaven help those who help themselves. That is the language of Nigerians who are trying to help themselves before heaven can help them. Before you say, God forbid, you should forbid some certain things. And one of those things we should forbid is poverty. So Nigerians, of course, will do everything to ensure that himself and his immediate family and extended family at large does not go to bed hungry. So because of that, even if you take the price of fuel to 2,000 per litre, of course, people will still travel.
But the issue here is that if Nigerians were to take things a bit more, will I say, like life and death, they might have different reactions. I'll use an analogy. You have persons who, once they feel maybe just a little bit of a bitter taste on their tongue, or they feel a little tired from a regular walk that they take, immediately they go to the hospital, the doctor sees them, gives them, whatever, it seems you have malaria, or you're at the early stages of this thing, get treatment, and they are fine. They usually don't even end up getting to the worst stages. And then you have some persons who believe that they have to pull through. So when they feel signs and they feel symptoms, they say, I can't afford to, I need to continue. And then it gets so bad that it reaches the point where they're almost breaking down before they go and get treatment and so on. So the question here is, should Nigerians be more reactive in terms of when things happen, you express in as much ways as you can your displeasure so that the government or those in power, as a way of holding them to account, know that even little lapses that we make, the people will not allow us get away with it.
Now, you are bringing healthcare and how it affects the common man in Nigeria. And the benefit of healthcare, it can never be overemphasized. We live in a time that in this same country, the first lady of this country, Aisha Buhari, of course, a good woman, who of course went to clinic in Villa, and shockingly, she couldn't get paracetamol. That's a country where we live, called Nigeria, where even in the villa where the president resides, we barely have drugs to cater for health, common drugs. We're not talking about a life-threatening disease here now, just probably for a headache of stress, caused by stress, like you said. Do you know how many people go to hospitals and cannot afford or even access ordinary malaria drugs in our hospitals? Not to talk of the ones that people go to hospitals, doctors attend to them, and they all died from the result of their inability to give them healthcare. Look at Gariki Hospital. Look at Maitama Hospital. How many are we going to mention? It is rightly stated that the young lady that was thrown out from one chance died because she was unattended to. Of course, there are litigations already ongoing. There are petitions across borders for the hospital called General Hospital in Maitama, where a citizen of this country was left to die in her own pool of blood. This is the country we are. Now, Nigerians don't even stress themselves. For example, I am under NHIS by virtues of, now, I took myself to General Hospital, and while I was there, of course, you have to see a doctor. You need to see what we go through to see a doctor in Nigeria. And after seeing the doctor, you have to go and run all the tests. Now, it's even better if you even have a doctor, the lab, working, functioning to run the test. In most cases, full blood counts in most government hospitals today, you can't run them. You see that they tell you their machine is faulty. I've been to a hospital where they told me they were going to run blood, some, samples, and I gave my blood. And then I was asked to come 72 hours later or there about 2 days after. And I got there and I was told that even when they took my blood, they knew the machine was not working. And I was asked to run the test outside the hospital. Now, the point here is, who pays for damages? Nobody. My blood was wasted. Are you vampire? You took my blood when you know your machine was actually not functioning, and you didn't run the test. And tomorrow when you put cases among this hospital, they'll be like, wow, Nigerians fighting Nigerians.
But when all this happens, do you think Nigerians are not, really feeling it well enough to take that final step that, I've had enough. 2023 or 2027, 2031, I'm going to be part of those people who decide, because an alarming number,
it is not a
number
political,
of people.
Yeah.
Let me say something. So
let me say something.
It
is not a political thing,
isn't it?
The president. Let me say something. Let me just say something. Let me say something. Now, in order to justify that, when I confronted a friend of mine who works with the pharmacy there in the hospital, now after all the tests that was carried out, I was referred to go to the pharmacy and pick drugs. And then all he gave me, somebody that had malaria typhoid, guess what he gave me? He gave me vitamin C and paracetamol, that I should go and buy the malaria drugs and the other drugs for the typhoid outside the hospital, that they don't have it. And it baffles me that what is the essence of me taking 3 days, paying transport, coming to the hospital, running all these tests, if you cannot give me drugs? And you know what he told me? He said, we had budgets. And if our budget, for example, is 5 billion naira, the government give us 3 billion naira. Out of the 5 billion naira that was supposed to be the budget, to provide some of these things, government don't give them the complete amount for their budget. That's my findings.
That's because the wrong people got into power, don't you think?
Yes, of course, you are right to an extent. But to an extent, who approved this budget? The government, yes. But somebody is sitting there thinking of how from that 3 billion naira that the government gave them to utilize for the betterment of the common man, how he's going to spend 2 billion and probably return 800 million to the government at the end of the year, and then he'll be compensated with probably 200 million. That yes, he was able to return money back to the government purse. What happened when they don't finish the amount that was budgeted for a particular year? They return it back to the coffers of the government. Are they compensated? Yes, they are. Find out. The heads of those departments are being compensated. That's what they are looking for. The supplementary budget you're seeing up and down flying, what do you think they are using it for? And some of this money, of course, does not go back to the government coffers. They just bring out a proposal, write something there, and then share the money among themselves. And then Nigerians continue to suffer. Nigerians continue to suffer. And these politicians, I don't know why Nigerian politicians are so heartless. These are your people. People that you came out to campaign, you promised them that come out, vote for me, I will give you this. And then they came out in mass and voted for you. And what did you do to them? The moment you got into power, you start playing politics, you start looking for who to fight so that the media can capture you, and then you start trending. You want to be relevant. But the common man that voted for you, he's still there suffering. 4 years after, his problems continue. And the funniest part, we Nigerians, of course, in the spirit to survive, Nigerians will even sell their birthright during the election period. Probably for 10,000, and they will vote the one who comes to give them money. And then they sell their conscience. They can even kill their own brother for that 10,000 naira. They are thinking of what to eat at that time. And after the election, what happened next? The bad leaders emerge again. The system continues to repeat itself. We continue to go back to square one without getting results, because we are not putting the right people in power who have conscience, who can push themselves of the pain. What we have in Nigeria, we have politicians that cannot feel empathy for what other Nigerians are going through. Of course, they can sympathize with you. Oh, fine, Kaduna bomb blast. Oh, the Senate, 109 Senate came out and said, fine, we are giving you part of our salary as sacrifice. To hell with your salary. You do that for 1 month. What happened next? Mind you, it was breadwinners that was killed in that unjust bombing. Like every other cases. I've just mentioned one. It happens everywhere in all the states in Nigeria. Police killing citizens, politicians, they are convoy killing people, and all of that. What about the big men too in the society? But God, of course, should fight for the common man. And at this Christmas, nobody should go to bed hungry. Who is going to put food on their table? The government. Who is going to provide some of these basic amenities? The government. But are the government actually doing that? No. Ordinary water. Can the government say, okay, fine, let's just provide water. In this year, there should be water running in everywhere. The government will sponsor it, you pay a token. In most of urban areas, we don't even have pipe and waters. And then you need to see what it takes, the kind of water our children are drinking. Go to schools. I mean public school, government schools. In some of the schools today, I can tell you boldly, in some of the schools in the FCT, government boarding schools, they are using pit toilet. If you want it, I'll give you evidence. I'll give you fact. I'll take you to those schools. And they leave these schools in the hands of the PTA. The PTA, of course, in that schools are just few individuals who have their children there. And some of the PTA members, their child no longer there, but they are there as PTA member. Extracting money. And without utilizing what was supposed to be for the betterment of that school. And government doesn't even go out to even monitor some of these things. And these children come back home. In fact, the parents wept when his child came back home. After paying all this money, what the man saw coming home was a skeleton. The girl claimed she has not eaten egg in the government school this morning day. She has not eaten meat. For the whole 3 months that girl was in school from September, her father put her in that boarding school. She did not taste meat in the boarding school. They have increased the feeding allowance now from 18,000 naira to 36,000 times 2. We are waiting to see. If ordinary egg, a child who is in government schools, even if the money the parents paid is not enough, the government should be able to go to those schools and support them. Apart from what the PTA generate from those schools, government support can never be overemphasized. In some of these government schools, they should not just leave it in the hands of the PTA executive. If that child dies tomorrow, the father can never forgive the government, because that's the government school. It's not like a private school. So government should do more for the people. It is government for the people, by the people, and for the people.
But speaking about the people, the question I keep going back to is, should they be more interested? Even as we speak, the vast majority of Nigerians still feel a reluctance or an apathy when it comes to voting. Less than, I don't know the exact figures, but if I had to, give a general figure, I don't think up to 50 or even 30% of our population elects our leaders. So what needs to change there to encourage people? What kind of encouragement do you think people need to make them go that extra mile, collect their PVCs and prepare, and then come out on election day?
Now, very simple. The election year that just passed. I'm
sorry to cut you short, Prince Ojoka. Our phone lines are open now, so you can call in to make your contributions or ask your questions.
Now, the last election that just took place, the general election that took place in February. Man, I was one of the volunteers for INEC during the distribution of PVCs. Man, Nigerians came out happily. Let me tell you something. I'm not in politics here. The reason why Nigerians came out to pick their PVC in the whole of that election year, this year, was because of a candidate. Who was the candidate? He was a young man. He was not all about tribe. It was because they saw he had a vision. He was not like the old politicians that they used to know that used to deceive them. That is one reason why people don't turn out in the election. The moment, of course, they saw that the man, Peter Obi, pick his ticket I was there to follow a new path and give them something to believe in. Like I said, without believing in something, without fighting for something, without dying for something, what are we living for? Nigerians saw a reason why they have to pick their PVC and go on that election box and vote. But then, again, we ask ourselves, did they actually came out? Yes, to an extent. Was the election free and fair? No. To an extent, no. They were compromised here and there. Of course, we can't discuss it now. Of course, we can even discuss it now because we are done with litigation. Are you getting it? The matter is no longer before the court. The court have finally decided. Everybody has moved on. But don't forget, does Nigeria have hopes in the people that are now the leaders? It is what happened after the election that determines what happened in the next election. After the election today, are Nigeria celebrating? No. Because Nigeria felt, look, you can have a look at the person that is our president. Yes, a good man. Hello. He's a good man. But Nigeria is saying that, look, we want someone that is more vibrant. Someone who doesn't have so many questions to answer. Whose credentials are not being investigated by the foreign FBI and what have you. Of course, he's a respected man. He was a senator and a former governor, and he's now the president. Yes, but his strength, his psychological IQ, as it is right now, by his age, cannot really carry for some of the strengths. The job of a president is not a job for the weaklings. It's not a job left for someone. We saw what happened in Yaradua. Of course, a good man, but his health could not carry. And we missed him up to this day because it was a man who had vision for this country. Yes,
well, let's say people like Peter Obi and other opposition, do you think they can do more to get people? Because at the end of the day, the real issue is that there's a way people still view elections. Yes, you said people came out, but compared to the number of people who collected their PVCs or the overall number, it still wasn't something to say, oh,
what is Nigerian population? First, you need to ask yourself, what is Nigerian population? Now, by virtue of all the elections we have done so far, we've seen that only 30% of Nigerians come out to vote for their candidate. What happened to the other 70%?
Yes.
Now, of large extent, you discover that 70% of Nigerians are no longer interested in the politics in Nigeria. Why are we saying this? Because if you now look at the people that are coming out from the primary, let me tell you something, where the discouragement starts is from the primary. Now, if Nigerians are expecting that, okay, this particular candidate would have emerged from the primary level, and then they see compromise at the primary level, and see that that person that they are expecting to emerge from the primary level has been, they have compromised the system. Mind you, it is the political party that prepare a candidate for an election. So when that is done, they are already discouraged. So if the general election is coming and they are looking at, oh, fine, what is APC giving us? It's not what we want. What is PDP giving us? It's not what we want. What is Labour Party giving us? It's not what we want. So understand it, because this political party will definitely fight the very best of the best from their party at the primary level, and then send the person to go and do battle with other political party. Now, when you now look at out of the 10 candidates, no longer aspirant, candidate for the election, and you look at them, you look at their CVs, you look at all of that, you're like, these are the kind of people that, so either A or B or C becomes president. All of them are actually not the choice of Nigerians. They're only the choice of the delegates at their party level. So it is not the choice of the people now. It is the choice of the delegate. So the people now felt, oh, there's no need to go out for this election because it is actually not their choice, as most of their choice does not even have the money to pay.
So do you think direct primaries could make this?
Oh, well, direct primary. Who is going to conduct direct primary? How many of it has been accepted? That's the point. The day is direct primary. Are they actually doing direct primary? When the governor, a sitting governor, will be telling every other person who to vote at the state level, they now have what they call their anointed candidate. That's what we are seeing. Every governor wants to bring his anointed candidate. Oga, you are done with your job. Allow the people to decide who is the next person that will carry out from where you stop. If you have done a greater job as a governor, there is no point bringing anointed candidate. Let everybody go to the ballot box at the primary level and then let them emerge. You don't need to come and start forcing people or threatening people or harassing people or bribing people so that they can now vote for your anointed candidate. And this your anointed candidate, you are looking for someone that is loyal to you, that when he comes, he cannot probe you of your corruption. You're looking for someone that can shield you from all the other things you've done, that cannot investigate you, that cannot persecute you. As a matter of fact, that is what we do in this country. And that is why you see that, in fact, if it is left for me, it should be 4 years. After 4 years, you go. The person that is coming next should be able to prop your government. We saw what happened in Kano when opposition took over that state. Oh man, it's sweet, because even the people that left, they knew that once you have a case to answer, you will definitely be brought to book. But what happened if your anointed candidate emerge? Let's take a case of Kogi State. Do you think the governor elect in Kogi State, for example, is going to prove his predecessor? Definitely no. Do you think the young man from River State, Fubara, what they call him, is going to prove his predecessor? No.
Well, they are currently not.
Yes, but it's not probably him. Yes, but it's not probably him. They may currently have that issue because of the structure, like I mentioned, like the former governor said, or because of the incentive that follows. Now, our investigation shows that most of these governors, when they leave office, they have a common understanding with their, they elect that, look, from the allocation that comes to the state, ensure that 2 billion, 5 billion, as the case may be, $1 billion naira goes to my account. It's called hidden agreement. It happens everywhere. And when that agreement is breached, or when the other candidate refuses to, let's take a good case of Edo State. The governor is definitely leaving. There's going to be an election. Right now, he's at lockerhead with his deputy governor. Oh, what a great man, a great politician, who has been behind the governor through thick and thin. But this is politics. The governor definitely look for someone that is going to be loyal to him and not his deputy, who has been there with him under the rain, under the sun for 2 tenure in all the campaigns. But now he's leaving. He rather prefers someone else who can be accountable to him, or someone that can be loyal to him. Look at Kogi State, for example. A governor who has been there for 8 years brought somebody from his own constituency and asked every other person, or forced everybody to support that candidate, that was his elected candidate. Of course, we have it on record that some said, which I'm not too sure of that he's his cousins, but they share the same political word. From one region, you've been there for 8 years, power cannot move to another place, and you do everything, including killing people of the same state, just to ensure that your own anointed candidate emerge. Haba, where are we going with all this power? Where are we going with all this power?
All right, just to make the conversation a little bit more broader, definitely, this was an election year, general election year. So without no two ways about it, politics and elections was going to dominate a lot of the conversation. But we're looking at the year generally and all that has happened. This is the year that we got a new president after 8 years, 2 tenures of another president, President Muhammadu Buhari. From your own reckoning, taking a look at the year, what were the, will I call it now, the focal points, or the points where things turned or changed, or points that really got to you in one form or another that you think Nigerians can learn from as we head into the new year?
Now, it has been election year, which is 2023. Let's start from January. In January, we started with the PVC collection. Nigerians, of course, did a greater compatriotism on that part of it, because almost all Nigerians came out to get their PVC so that they will not be disenfranchised during the election year. Now, February came, the election proper came. Now, the point here I will still ask myself is, how come nobody is probing all the presidents who have left office? Buhari came, of course, he did not probe Jonathan. Hello? They were a little windshot from the office of the First Lady and some of members of the president, the former president. And then Jonathan left. And then come our star boy, who invested so much or spent so much on insecurity in order to ensure that there were Nigerians who could go to bed with their 2 eyes closed. Though he tried an extent, but he could not achieve that. Probably 30%, he achieved part of that. But all the resources that were spent, who account for it? Because it was on record that most of these soldiers who complained that this money were not utilized for the purpose which it was the reason why there were so many casualties. Do you know how many casualties, how many lives were lost? Women became widows, children became orphans. Because somebody was not doing the right thing. Because somebody hit the amount that was supposed to be used for armed procurement. And in all of that, who is investigating the person? Nobody. Of course, he has finished his part. He has gone home to relax himself and enjoy his retirement benefit.
He just turned 81 over the weekend.
So you can imagine, he just turned
81 years old.
And then, will he be happy where he is right now? Now, under that 8 years, he actually did what he was expected of him as a president.
Well, the president says he did his best.
That is what he said. You and I are Nigerians. We live in Nigeria. Can you really say he did his best? His best was not good enough. After 8 years in power, with that kind of resources he had at his disposal, his best was not good enough. Now, if you give me ₦1 million, for example, and say this ₦1 million, give me your budget on how you intend to spend it. I was okay, fine. 200,000 goes to health, another 200 goes for education, 2 go for infrastructure. If at the end of that year, of that budget, I was able to utilize at least 80 or 95%, I can hit my hand and say, yes, I've done well. Can the president say for that 8 years, all the amount he received in all our budget, all the loan he borrowed like a drunkard? He was going about from one country to another, borrowing money like a drunkard, spending it lavishly on things that were irrelevant. Not just him, his ministers, his executive, members of his cabinet, they cartel the cabal that the first lady objected to, and all of that. The COVID-19 palliative, it was only in this period that we saw that children were at home and billions of naira was claimed to be spent in feeding children that were at home. Abba, who is investigating it? Trader money came and gone, nobody investigated it. So many of this money, market money, women money and all of that, they were just giving names. Are you not aware? Have you not seen it on the news? What are we saying? The humanitarian office, how much were spent, how much and all of that. Somebody needs to account for this thing because these are government money, these are blood money. Because the moment you don't utilize this money for the betterment of Nigerians, Nigerians will suffer. We suffered enough under that 8 years. It was a survival party when they left. There's a governor right now that will be leaving by next month, January. I'm telling you. In fact, nobody will ever believe that his tenure will come to an end. Because from day one, when he inherited the dead man's vote, it has been nightmare. He started with screening of civil servants every week. In fact, it was like 4 screening in 1 month. And then he started by paying 25% of salary to the workers. Before you know, there were most violence in that state. Before you know, and the people, of course, were dying of recent. There was an interview, which is on record, that they were conducting another screening, and a civil servant died as a result of the stress embarked on this screening. Too many screening, too many irrelevant screening, and they are trying to justify themselves that it was just an office of the head of civil service that were conducting it an indoor, and the person has been sick before now. There's a little to what stress you can handle. The governor or any government that is coming in Kogi State right now should not even think of conducting unnecessary screening and to make the people further. He should think of how he can pay promotion benefits. He should think of how he should pay all the other benefits that the workers are duly for. These people have suffered enough, not just in Kogi State. Go to the east, go to the west, go to the north, go to the south. Everywhere in Nigeria, the civil servants are suffering. It is high time for all these governors to have one vision that until their tenure is over, no civil servants should go to bed without paying their child school fees. We heard of a man who, of course, cannot pay his school fees. I know of my principal, who was a principal, and his child was driven out of school fees. How much was the school fees? 25,000 naira. Mr. Amadin, Nigerians are going through a lot, either you like it or not. Until you go to our various communities, enter the streets, you may not know what Nigerians are going through. Here in Maraba, it has been said that the woman died of hunger. You mean nobody was around her to even give her ordinary gari, which is our best food for the common man. I speak here for the common man. The common man that I so represent, we are suffering. In all the villages, there's no place that hunger is not ravaging the land. Because how many things we even farm and produce in Nigeria? The few land that we cultivate, is either bandit has taken over the land, is either herdsmen has taken over the land. It's like a cankerworm that has eaten all of us. It's like a plague that took over this country within the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari. Of course, we wish him happy birthday. He's 71, right?
81.
81 years old. the former president who just left office is 81. We are happy that he's alive. He will stay alive to see the country, Nigeria, that he ruled for 8 years, and let him see continue to deceive himself and tell Nigerians that he did to the best of his ability what a president would have done with that kind of resources at his disposal. Well, the new president is here, there are new ministers, but hunger is still in the land. Nothing has changed. Hello. The only thing that has changed is that there's a new old president who is also a good politician. We don't want good politician. We want people that have the fear of God, who knows what the common man is going through, who can give us the basic amenities, who can give us things that are the essence of democracy. Not one good politician. They say it's a good politician. Hello. Good politician are people that play games, and not people that have conscience. Not people that can think of what the common man will eat in his stomach before going to bed. It's better we have a politician that is not good politically, but will say to himself, look, I don't know how to speak English, I don't know how to travel abroad, but all I know is that if in my house my wife and my kids can fit and go to good school, I will ensure that Nigerians fit and go to good schools.
Well, fair enough. You know, at the end of the day, you still need politics to get to the opportunity to do what you need to do. But just a bit of news, I call it some breaking news. Appeal court affirms Fintiri's election as Adamawa governor. I'll just read a little bit of it there. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has affirmed the election of Governor Amadu Fintiri of Adamawa State. The court upheld the judgment of the Adamawa State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, which upheld the declaration by INEC that Fintiri of the PDP won the elections. The governorship election had generated controversy when the then resident electoral commissioner, Hudu Yunusa Ari, declared Aisha Binani of the All Progressive Congress as the winner of the election. I don't know if you recall that saga when an INEC staff, suddenly out of the blue decided or announced that the winner was Aisha instead of Governor Fintiri. Now we're having that the Appeal Court has affirmed that decision. What was your take on that matter when it happened, and what do you think about that?
Now, the issue of Adamawa State, we saw how people were desperate with no moral standing. Hello. When you are employing people to do national assignment, it goes beyond just tribalism. Does these people have the moral standing that you cannot for any reason bribe these people and they will accept? We are not saying that he was bribed. But whatever reason would have been the reason why he decided to announce someone before the election was concluded, before even the whole results were collated, is something that needs to be investigated. And then the funniest part of it, it is not all about that. Let me tell you something that is missing. The person that is missing is that he has not been persecuted. Yes. Right now, they are even telling us that they don't even know where he is. Somebody like that who committed such atrocity of robbing the whole state, do you know what that would have caused the people? And that person is the person telling us today that anybody can just commit crime in Nigeria and miss. And security cannot provide him. Our security should be ashamed of themselves. If our security can tell us that this man that was supposed to be behind bars, answering questions of who instigated him or who bribed him or who actually gave him that order to do such an injustice to democracy, and somewhere now he's being shielded by the same politician, and the media has covered it that the government are saying they can't find him to persecute him. He's in this country, but you can find Nnamdi Kanu where he went to hide himself in the east, and then you bundle him like a common chicken and brought him back to Nigeria, and he has been behind bars for years. So
as a lecturer, do you think we get enough prosecutions as regards electoral issues? I'm talking about people found with weapons at polling units, the announcement of the wrong candidates, and so on and so forth. Do we need to be seeing more of that to encourage people to stop, others to stop?
Mr. Amadin, I started politics in 2007. Now, as PA to the first female electoral surveyor Surveyor Gate Fitina and Janja, professor right now, Unica, former commissioner, Women Affairs, Cross River State. Now, on that election day in 2007, I remember everything. The picture is still in my face. At that stage, what we were doing, they were nothing like the, what they call it, the PVC. They were nothing like the card reader. All you need to do is to come to the polling unit and then thumb print. Now, we started the Action Congress. Then Action Congress of Nigeria, before it became all the other parties that came together to emerge to form the APC. So there's nothing you're going to tell me in politics. As young as I am, and on that day of the election, we went to cast our vote, and then talks came from the opposition party, the PDP. And they molested us. We're just few now. It was a one-party system we were doing those days. We were just PDP or PDP. So the moment you're not in PDP, man, you are in trouble. It was not easy to be in opposition party. They molested us, took our phones, break our cameras, our camcorders. We were left with nothing. And then we later went to tribunal. And that same night, while I was sleeping, that's my election night, because I've always been this outspoken. They came to my compound and they didn't know which one was my car. So they set my landlord car ablaze. That's the night. But I was not even in the house, because I'm a politician. I know what will happen that night. I was not in the house. I was with my principal to ensure that my principal was okay. Now, after the election, what happened next? We went to tribunal. Then I relocated to Abuja. I took up a job as a dean of study in Abuja that same year, July. Now, my principal was going to court, and then finally, and then the opposition approached her, and then in terms of settlement, and then they settled that matter out of court. Case closed. Now, in 2010 to 2011, I participated in another election where a particular candidate, that's the local government election in a state, I was representing my party. And when I got to that place to represent my party as an, you know, a particular politician took the police, took the talks, took the INEC official into one particular house. And then they were thumb printing. They decided a whole local government election in another local government without casting a vote in that local government. An election was announced and winner was emerged. It was so bad. Thank God that INEC have been doing so little. Understand what I'm saying? So little to improve our democracy. At least these days, if the number of accredited voters are more than the number that if the numbers that vote are more than the numbers that were accredited, that election can be declared null and void.
Overvoting.
Yeah. Of overvoting. What we do those days, if PDP, of course, there were 10, because like I said, it was two-party system, PDP and others. So if PDP, of course, have 20 votes and Action Congress have 10 votes, INEC will now share like 5,000 ballot paper, because of course there are always excess ballot paper. So thumb print. So everybody just start thumb printing. They just log themselves inside one room, and up to this moment, nobody has been persecuted since the day that democracy started in Nigeria. They have not persecuted one person for electoral offense. Even people that were doing vote buying, how many of them today are in jail? It's a general offense. Both the person that is giving and both the one receiving. How many of them? I'm like, okay, fine. By this time next year, they are going to bundle everywhere. They have their fight. They are going to persecute. Men, they should leave politics. They should stop saying what they cannot do. We have been hearing that. We are going to persecute everybody that. Small arms. I am telling you, in this last Kogi State election, by virtue of my office, I was privileged to witness the election. I mean, full hand. I am telling you that all the talks are also working together with the politician. I mean, every politician in the at the state level are the controllers of these talks that have access to these small arms. So if you now say, okay, fine, you want to persecute a particular talk, don't forget who is his godfather. Is either he's a governor, or he's a minister, or he's a commissioner, or he's a local government chairman, who of course were giving money at the party level to ensure that they win their various constituency. And they will stop at nothing to empower those talks.
Is there any solution to this?
What is the solution? Yes, there's a solution. It starts with the electorate. Don't allow yourself to be used by this politician, because politicians will always want to look for who to use. They can't do it on their own. Hello, politicians cannot do it on their own. Do they even have the strength? Some of them already dead cops working already. Look at somebody like the president. Can the president now go and say he wants to do? Do you understand? Not somewhere, somehow, somebody close to him.
Just to correct that impression, I hope you're not making any.
No. Of course, like I said, the president is a responsible man. Do you understand? I have deep respect for the president, but if I had my way, I would have ensured that people like him does not emerge as a president.
Yeah, this is why they say the majority will have their way, the minority will have
he's a father to me. I see him as a father figure. I would rather advise him at that age. He should leave that particular office.
But people liking this to America, they already talked that President Biden might be coming out very soon for re-election.
Can the Americans boldly say, let's say the truth, can the Americans today say that they are happy with the choice they made? Hello. That's the point. The Americans cannot come out and say, okay, fine. Even if you have to compare the likes of Nelson Mandela, or you want to compare when Obama was there, he was young, he was vibrant. He was the people's choice, and we saw what he did in 8 years. I hope you're getting where I'm coming from. We had younger presidents in the United States, and even the few ones that were elderly men, they had good vision. They were not self-centered. They were not being manipulated. Abraham Lincoln was there. Do you understand what we are saying? Jefferson was there, so many of the likes of them. Kennedy was there. Can we look at them today and compare it to the case in Nigeria? The only person we can call today that was once a president in this country is Yar'Adua. Of course, if he had not died, we will see fine faults in him. But definitely, the little time Yar'Adua was our president, he knew that the job of a president was a full responsibility that require all his strength and energy. He gave his best for this country. The man, Obasanjo, also did his own part. There are things that can be linked, including this handset you and I are using today. Can the last president come out and say that this is what I did, that Nigerian can use him and remember, other than banditry, killing, unemployment? Let me stop there.
Anyway, again, we're taking stock of the year. We'll be doing this all the way to the end of the year before we move into the new year. But what would you say is your outlook? A couple of days ago, the Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation held a press briefing where he gave insight as to what he's planning for and expectations for the new year. Everybody has expectations. I'd like to get yours for the country in the short term. Or I think we're heading to mid-term, but we're still kind of in the short term.
All right, now, in the short term, what can be done to give Nigerians a new hope?
Renewed hope?
A renewed hope.
Okay.
Now, the person has come out and said, fine, I want to give Nigerian hope. Not just the kind of hope that other politicians have been giving them. I want to renew it. I hope you're getting the point. That's what it simply means. Other politicians have not been giving us hope. They have been giving us hope. But now, someone has come and said, fine, I want to renew your hope. Now, we have waited since May till this period. Oga, is this how you renew our hope? How much is fuel? How much is a bag of rice? How much is house rent? How much is the cost of transportation we used to pay? How much is our light bill? These are common things that affect us now on a daily basis. How has the people feel your impact? Like I've said, there's a new president, there's a new ministers. Yet, people are still going to bed hungry. People barely pay their children's school fees. Nothing has changed. Dollar has increased, fuel has increased, foodstuff has increased. My brother, tell me one thing that have changed to show that yes, our hope is renewed since May that the president took over office. I hope you are getting where I'm coming. But like I've said, we are Nigerians, we are survivor. It is survival of the fittest. We must surely survive. But it is unfortunate that if we continue like this, and government is not doing anything, we continue to struggle on our own, we continue to fight on our own to meet ends meet. No wonder there are so many crimes today in the country. The Yahoo boy thinks that government have not done enough, so he need to scam other people to survive. The one chance person thinks that government have not done enough, he need to probably kill somebody or take from other people. A time will come that if government don't do anything drastically and urgently, the rate of crime will continue, because men will continue to look for a way to survive, and in trying to survive on their own, they will definitely take advantage of the weak ones. They want to take advantage of the weak ones. That's not the kind of country we want for Nigeria. Unless we are not practicing democracy. Let's know if we don't have democracy anymore. So that everyone can just do whatever they want. Then become a lawless state. Is that what we want at this 21st century? No. If we must be a country that is governed by a constitution, and people have been duly elected to give us some of these things which they do solely promise, we should feel it now inside our lives. Our lives should change. There should be transformation. People should be employed. Job creation is one thing that can never be. In fact, as we speak right now, we are Nigerians now. I think I have the record. 72% of Nigerians are unemployed, which now brought poverty level to show that out of the 210 million by our estimation in population, over 160 million people are poor and living in abject poverty with no food to go to bed. As I speak with you now, some people don't know what they call 2 square meal, not to talk of 3 square meal. So they just, in fact, most food people eat these days, I doubt if there's protein.
Well, we've run out of time now, but your figures there for unemployment, I think it might be subject to some fact checking, but it's been good having you here and sharing your thoughts. Hopefully we still get to speak to you a couple more times before the new year, and in the new year we start to take stock of what we expected and what we are getting. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me. Please, before I leave, let me say this. In your various community, if you're watching this program live, please ensure that you impact lives. No matter how small it is, share this love. It's a season of love. No matter how small it is, please give something to someone there. People actually are suffering. God bless you as you do.
Thank you so much for that. Those are very nice words to end the program. We'll see you tomorrow. Remember, the Polity reaches you live every weekday, 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.